Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video where I tell you about my horrible experience getting XXL acrylic nails put on. If you're planning on getting these type of nails for yourself, I recommend that you watch this video through because number one, then you're going to know what you're signing up for, and number two, I'm going to tell you about the type of red flags I encountered so that you know what to watch out for so that you don't have the same issues. Are you saying hello, man? You haven't been in a video in ages. Look how big you've gotten. Hello. Go by. So first thing first, what are XXL acrylics? Here I'm going to show you a few examples of what they look like, but XXL acrylics are basically the longest acrylic nails that you can get. There didn't seem to be a standard measuring system when I went googling it, but what I got was definitely too long for those platinum foils, and what they ended up doing is they stuck on 2 nail tips to get it long enough. I ended up having nails that were 7 centimeters long in total. So with my nail bed being roughly 1 centimeter, my free edge was 6 times as long as my nail bed. And it was quite the experience having these. I thought I knew some things because I usually have long nails. I grow out my own nails. And I was like, how much harder can it be? It was entirely different. I did a video where I tried doing my makeup with these nails, and while it wasn't terrible, it was definitely a lot more time consuming than it usually is. And I also tried a bunch of different things with these long nails. Everyday activities like opening a can, putting on earrings, trying to write, and it was very different. So if you want to get these type of nails, you are committing to a lifestyle change. And it took me about 3 to 4 days to be somewhat comfortable with using my hands. Those first few days, it actually hurt after I applied them, which I will explain to you, but it was very uncomfortable doing anything with my hands in those first few days. After that passed and I had a little bit more experience moving around with them, it was okay. Now, if you're planning on getting these long nails and you're just gonna keep them on forever, that's fine. You're gonna get used to them. But if you're planning on just getting them for like one event or for a short period of time, I do not recommend. I got them for the internet to be able to show you guys what it's like, and it was incredibly expensive for a short period of time. So let's get to my appointment. I want to show you what my nails look like beforehand, where they were the shortest they've ever been, before I go to them being the longest they have ever been. I went to a place called the Treat Greenstone Nail and Beauty. I'll put them up here for you because we name and shame in this household. I chose this place because after calling around a bit and hearing how expensive these nails are, this place was the perfect combination of having a good reputation with a price range I was comfortable with. Most places were charging around 600 to 700 rand, but this place said they'd be able to do it for 450, and all their reviews were good. They were actually able to take me the same day, which I was very surprised by because usually nail salons are like booked out quite a few days in advance. But they said they could take me, so 4:30 I was sitting there getting ready to start. And little did I know when I sat down and filmed the clock to show you what time we were starting that I would be sitting here for 4 hours and 10 minutes to get my nails done. I knew it was going to take long. I've gotten acrylics before in my life, and I know it takes a minute for anyone to do your nails, but I called and I asked, how much it's gonna be, how long it's gonna take, all that stuff, and they said it should take 2.5 hours, and I was like, that's long, but that's okay. What else am I doing this afternoon? But 4 hours and 10 minutes was not something I was expecting. That works out to them spending approximately 25 minutes per nail to do my nails. Now, I don't know what the name of my nail tech was. I don't believe she told me, but we got there, sat down, and we had a very brief consultation before she started. She practically went straight to buffing my nail beds and then sticking on the nail extensions. But because I was getting super long nails, I needed 2 extensions to get them to that length. So she first went around all 10 and put on 1 nail extension on each, and then went back a second round and put another nail extension on top of the other nail extensions. And these were just regular plastic nail extensions, and she just stuck them on with regular nail glue. Now, I don't usually go for nail appointments. I grow my own nails, I paint my own nails, so I'm not often sitting in a nail salon. So I started the session off with like, it's fine, just be chill, they know what they're doing, you're in good hands, they're professionals, it's fine. Let them file your nails, it is what it is. Like, I don't know about you, but I hate people filing on top of my nails. I feel like that wrecks them, but I understand that's something you have to do when you put acrylics on. But for those of you that don't know, acrylics are a monomer liquid, meaning it's kind of a 1-unit compound liquid, and then you mix it with a polymer powder, which means it's got multiple parts. That's what poly means. The molecule that the powder is made up of has multiple parts. Those two then just get mixed together, then you put them on your nails and they adhere to your nails. And they dry very hard when you put them in UV. But like I said, this was a bad experience. So this brings us to red flag number 1. The second that first tip was glued onto my nails, the second that glue had dried and I was committed, the nail tech was like, "You're paying 600 for this, right?" And I was like, excuse me? We kind of said over the phone it's $450, not $600. That's like a significant amount more, you know, what's up? And it's not like it was miscommunication between the person I booked with and the person who's doing my nails. She's the one I was talking to on the phone. She's the one who told me, come in, it'll be $450. And now the second she's kind of gotten me hostage, she says, by the way, it's $600. And I was like, I mean, I guess I'm already here. There's nowhere else I can go to. I'm not driving through to town another day. That'll cost more than me just paying $600 now. So whatever, I guess. And she was like, oh, cool. It did rub me a little bit the wrong way, but I figured maybe she didn't understand exactly how long I wanted them because she did double check the length with me. Maybe that's where some miscommunication came in, okay, but like, ask me before we start working. You should be asking me this in the consultation. It felt a little bit like I was being ripped off. The second red flag is that after gluing on one of the tips, she had to redo it and take it off because she glued it on entirely skew, and she only saw that after she already put on the entire hand to be able to compare it. But I was probably and am probably still being a little bit overcritical, so it's fine. At least she realized it and she fixed it. So it took her about 15 minutes to apply the nail extensions, and immediately I didn't know what to do with my hands. I was sitting at like a small table and there wasn't a lot of space to put my hands, and on my lap was uncomfortable and on my arm was uncomfortable, and I just like didn't know what to do. And at that point I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm really getting these now? It's gonna be an adjustment. And I was right. But we're already in the chair, we already committed. I already told the internet I was gonna do it, so I was gonna have to see it through. But if you're wondering why I'm moving around so much, that would be why. The next thing she did is she spent about 8 minutes filing my nail beds again, and then also filing on the extension so that the acrylic has something to stick to. That rough surface creates a larger surface area for the acrylic to grip onto, so your nails are gonna stick a lot better. And then once she was done filing, she put a primer on my nail beds. But here's where we ran into our next red flag. She couldn't find a tip that was small enough for my pinky. Now, I don't have an exceptionally small pinky as far as I'm concerned. I've never had the issue that someone couldn't find a tip that fit me. Maybe she was just out of that size this day. But she put on an extension that was a bit too big and it had like an edge hanging off, and then she put a second one onto that. And then she tried filing it down on the side, that the side would line up with my nail, but she didn't file it down the whole length. She just kind of filed it outwards like this. So there was my nail, and then it kind of transitioned to the wider thing and then went out. Which, if you're going to resize the thing, you need to resize the whole thing so it goes straight and not skew. But while she was doing this, she was being incredibly rough. Any type of filing on the free edge was incredibly uncomfortable because it was putting so much pressure on my nail bed. But while trying to file this edge flat, she kind of went like from underneath the nail, and she was applying so much pressure that it just snapped off the tip she glued on. And that, lovely people, is when I should have gotten up and left. I should have been like, thank you, nice to know you, I'm going home. Because number one, it hurt. As you can imagine, having something ripped off your nail, very uncomfortable. So I like immediately retracted and kind of like held my hand because I was surprised. She immediately also tried to see what was going on, and then she checked to make sure the nail wasn't damaged or broken or split or anything, which thank heavens it wasn't. And she was like, oh, I'm sorry, are you okay? Can we continue? And then she just put on the tip again, did that whole process again, and filed it again. But now this finger was sore, like my fingertip was red, like it was pretty uncomfortable and it was sensitive now. So when she was filing it again, I was actively in pain and I was kind of like tensing up, and she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, it's sore, you know? And she was like, oh yeah, it's because it ripped off, and then just continued filing like everything was fine. I should have left then and there. There should have just been a video about how I gave up on my nail appointment because it was so bad, and that was it. But no, I saw it through and we continued. But now I'm warning you, be smarter than I am. If you get hurt in a nail appointment, please go home. Because it really did not get any better from this point on. But next, we finally got to the part where we were applying the acrylic. And if you know anything about applying acrylics, right? You need to dip the brush and make it wet. And then you need to pick up a bead of powder so it's a certain size. And then you're going to paint it on and build the nail. And there is a whole skill behind picking up the right bead size and then building it properly. My nail tech lacked this ability. She got impatient because it was taking long putting acrylics on all 10 incredibly long nails. So she started picking up bigger and bigger blobs of the acrylic and just stacking it on just to get it on there already, and then roughly going over it again to kind of try and flatten it out. And I'm on TikTok enough to kind of know that's not how you're supposed to do it. So I casually asked her at this point, you know, how long have you been doing this? What got you into doing nails? And she was like, oh yeah, no, a friend just kind of got me into this. She let me come work at her salon here. I've only been doing it for a few months. And I was like, Excuse me. And I was like, oh, are you working towards your certification, you know, to kind of see if she has a certificate, if she's a licensed nail technician, you know, kind of again, while being held hostage by her doing my hands. And she was like, oh no, I thought about it. I might do my certificate at some point if I want to go work somewhere else. But I'm like, I'm okay now. And I was just like, are you serious? You're not licensed. That's great. Now, like, there's a reason we have licenses for stuff like this, right? You can do a lot of harm accidentally to someone else if you don't know what you're doing. And you really genuinely might not mean any harm. And you think you're like, Googled it to figure out how to do it and you know what you're going to do, but still, there is a reason these things are licensed. Especially with something like doing nails, it's so easy to transfer a microbial disease from one person to another if you don't take care of your stuff correctly. You can hurt someone's nails really bad if you don't apply something correctly. There's a lot of damage you can do. And you are yourself protected if you are licensed, compared to the trouble you're gonna get in if you're unlicensed and selling the service to people. So please, 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 if you're interested in doing these type of things, get your certification before you provide these services, okay? But I was playing it cool. I wasn't gonna show her that I was freaking out at the inside by the fact that I'm getting like a pretty difficult treatment done by someone who has very little experience with doing nails apparently. So I asked her, where did she learn to do these XXL nails? Has she done them before? And she was like, no, I looked it up on YouTube, how to do these before you came in. What? Okay, so she answered the phone, heard me ask for the acrylics, said absolutely I can do them, come in, quickly hung up the phone, looked up how to do these acrylics, watched a video while she waited for me to drive over and was like, cool, let's do this. That's not great. I didn't sign up to be an experiment today. I want these nails to be done properly. You know, it's kind of the only time in my life I'm going to do something like this. I want to thoroughly enjoy this experience. But I'm also paying for the proper service, which in hindsight, it makes sense that she didn't quote me correctly at the beginning because she didn't know exactly what she was going to be doing. But I was already this far in, I might just as well get it done with. I thought at that minute, I was like, I should call it quits right now. I was like genuinely like, what am I doing here? But I decided, you know, already committed, I'm already sitting here, and it would be a lot more awkward for me to be like, it's okay, I take it back, you can take them off now, and then sit there for 30 minutes soaking it off while everyone's mad at everyone. I didn't feel like that. So I was like, you gotta see it through, my boy. Let's just continue. The acrylic is already on. How much worse can it get? Never say that. Never use that as a reason to continue. I'm telling you now. Because after she applied the acrylic and the acrylic had cured in all of its lumpy goodness, the filing started. And that is probably some of the worst pain I had ever experienced on my hands. It was so terrible. They didn't have one of those drills that we often see people use to shape acrylics, which I'm kind of happy about. If she's not licensed or trained in any way and she doesn't know how to use them, I don't want to be a test dummy with a drill bit on my hands, that's fine. So she tried using a rough file to do everything. And it took her 20 minutes per hand to file. So for 40 minutes, I was just sitting there in pain. Okay, I feel like I'm being dramatic, but it was so bad. I'm really good at like keeping a straight face when I'm uncomfortable, when I'm in pain or something, but I was sitting there, I was tense. I was just trying my best, and like Aiden was sitting to the side and I was just kind of looking at him like, this is fine, I'm gonna survive, just, you know, can you please hurry up? I was kind of like fighting between like pulling my hand back because I wanted to get away from the pain and trying to not move at all because I was just gonna make her job a lot harder and make everything so much worse. But it was incredibly painful. Reason being, she was filing on the edges a lot of the nails because they were all lumpy from the way she applied them, and she tried smoothing them out, which she didn't. I will show you what my nails look like, right? But she tried smoothing out the bumps on the edge, meaning she put a lot of pressure on from underneath my nail, which freaked me out already because that is what snapped the tip off to begin with. But this time, that puppy was glued on. Acrylic holds. So she was pushing with all of her might on the bottom of these nails with a nail file to try and smooth them out, and all of that force was going on my poor tiny little nail bed, lifting my nails. Like, that is a legitimate torture technique, pulling people's nails off, and I will simply pass away if anyone tries that because that was the most painful thing I've ever had on my hands. It was so bad. I was bearing and grinning and just trying to get through it. I was trying to like, you know, relax, survive, maybe like clench your fist or something, but I couldn't because I had the nails on. And then at some point she was getting tired because it was taking so long, so she had someone else kind of switch out with her when she went to eat food. And this lady was even worse, she went even quicker, and I was like, okay. I had to ask her at some point to stop because it hurt so bad, to just give me a little bit of a break. And they were like, what is it, like sore or something? And I was like, sore or something? Yeah, it's pretty sore, thanks for asking. And they were like, oh well, it'll be over soon. And I was like, I'm never getting nails again. I'm never doing this again. I'm never going to a nail salon ever again. If beauty is this much pain, I don't want it. It's fine. And I truly hope that this amount of pain was abnormal, that it was unusual, because the other times I've gotten acrylics, I was not uncomfortable at any point during the process. Nothing hurt. Nothing was painful. But this hurt so bad that for the next 3 days after getting these nails put on, my nail beds were extremely sensitive. And there was no way for me to put my hands without them being in pain for 3 whole days. I'm genuinely both thankful and surprised that I did not rip off a nail in the process. And again, at this point, I should have tapped out, but I was like, what am I going to do? Just have these lumpy, clear acrylics on my hand that I don't know how to take off, and I don't know where to go to have it fixed. So again, just see it through, but I'm telling you, leave. If I had left when I saw the first red flag and I was like, this isn't great, I wouldn't have had to go through this. So please trust your gut. If you feel like you should leave, leave. Okay, that's the moral of the story. Okay, do not put yourself through this. But then even after those 40 minutes of straight up torture, they were still lumpy. They still weren't looking great. But she was tired and so was I, so we finally moved to getting the nails painted. Now when I had to pick out a color, I had a specific idea in mind. I wanted the 2 hands to match but be 2 different colors, so that when I record myself doing things like opening cans, you can see what hand is doing what, and it's not just a bunch of the same color all coming together. So I wanted 2 colors that stood out but still kind of matched, and I really wanted a girly moment because I'm getting these cool nails. I wanted something nice and girly, so I went for a pastel blue and a pastel pink. I kind of wanted to go with a pastel green at some point, something a little mint, but they didn't have a color I liked, so we went with the blue and pink instead. But then when they started painting, they painted about 1 nail with the blue before realizing that blue was empty. So then they had to take it all off again, and they were annoyed at me for picking this color that was almost empty, even though I had no idea how much of this color they had. So they then had to take that off, and they just picked a new blue for me and then started painting with that, and I was like, okay, I guess let's continue. But at this point, my nails were incredibly sensitive from the beating and battering they've just been put through. So I was uncomfortable, I was kind of squirmy, and I was like, can we please like be gentle because I am in pain? And they were kind of rude about it. You know, my nail tech and the one that was helping her, because they wanted to get done as soon as possible so they could go home. They were kind of like, it's fine, it'll go away, just, you know, get over it, it'll be okay. And I was like, it's really not though. Like, they kind of like pulled my hands around as however they wanted it, and they were rough in doing so. Added to that I was already overly sensitive, it just wasn't a great time. But they then went in with multiple coats to get it as opaque as needed. It felt like it took forever for them to paint and then keep having the nails painted and then back in and then painted and then back in so it can cure. You know, they cure the acrylic and the paint and everything with UV light. Which, talking about the UV light, it was one of those small little box ones that everyone uses, right? But these nails were incredibly long. So the nail tips already kind of hit the back, and then my thumb wasn't fully in, and then she got annoyed at me for not putting my thumb in fully. So she'd kind of like reach over and try and pull my hand to jam my hand further into the thing, and then every time she did that, she'd knock my nails against the front of the thing, and then she'd pull my hand out and get annoyed that I knocked my nails so that they touch each other and she needs to redo something. I'm like, what do you want me to do about that? I'm trying my best here. What we probably should have done is the nails here, these 4 first, and then the thumb, so that everything got cured at its own time, instead of trying to shove my little hand in there without anything touching. But it took them 22 minutes to paint, even though it was teamwork. And again, the edges were bumpy, and so was the paint. They did not really care about refining those edges. They didn't cap the end either, so I kind of had like, you could see the acrylic at the tip of the nails. And by the way, I'd like a square nail shape. I didn't have the opportunity to ask for anything anything else. I wanted something more coffin shaped. That was kind of what I had in mind. But number one, I just entirely forgot about that when I was going through the pain of them being filed down. But number two, she offhandedly mentioned later that she would have needed the drill bit to do that, and I was like, it's okay, I'll go with square, it's fine. But yes, even though she knew at this point that my nails were sensitive and I was having a hard time, when she saw how messy the edge was to try and fix it, she just kind of filed them again a little bit, just to sprinkle on a little bit extra pain. Then we had like a mini argument about the design. I had asked them to kind of do like the Spider-Man thing where these three were the solid color and these two had like a light base with some design on them, because I thought that would be cute. That's kind of like the stuff I saw online and I really liked that idea. And again, it kind of differentiated my nails so you could see what I'm doing when I'm doing things, but they didn't entirely pay attention when I told them that. So they decided to make these two nails the lighter color and then these three the solid color. And I was like, this is not quite this, but I want to go home. Let's just get it done. I don't have a problem with speaking up with a nail tech if I don't like what someone does. You know, I say now very bravely, but usually I'm okay with it. But they'd already had to restart painting my nails because they messed it up. And I did not want to restart again. I just wanted to get done. So I just watched. Very annoyed because I very clearly said I want these to the other color. I don't know how that mix-up happened, but okay. But now we were talking about the design we were going to get on these two fingers on each hand. And I told her, you know, I wanted to be open and communicate honestly with her. So I told her, look, I don't want anything too intricate. I don't want you to spend hours painting now. I don't want to sit here for hours anymore. So I want something basic, simple, easy, but this still kind of looks nice. So I gave her kind of a few ideas to kind of see what she can do, because at this point, I already picked up that she's not the most skilled artist out there. As much as I initially thought that cute little butterflies would be like adorable, she was probably just gonna charge me extra without telling me, and she probably wouldn't do cute butterflies, because nothing up until this point gave me any faith that she has the skills required to do this. So I gave her a few options. I was like, how about something where we split the nail with a color, where we have half color, half the other one? You know, I was thinking maybe diagonal, that could be okay, or just straight down the middle, or like just an artistic swirl on the nail, something cute like that, maybe with like little white highlights. Easy, freestyle, not that bad. The other option I gave her was, why don't we just do dots? I was thinking maybe bigger dots at the bottom and smaller dots at the top, or have them kind of taper off, something like that. Something cute, basic, easy. I can probably do it at home. And can you believe the nerve she had when I was trying to be nice, trying to compromise, get something easy, cute, so we can all go home? She was like, okay, but that's not gonna look good. Okay, cool, fantastic. What do you feel like doing then? Do you have any suggestions for what will possibly look good that you are also capable of doing? Pray tell. What do you want to do on my nails? Because clearly I don't have a say about anything today because nothing has gone according to plan. But I kept all this on the inside because you need to be nice to service providers, and I was just like, okay, well, what do you feel like you'd be able to do? And then she just kind of looked at me and was like, we're doing the dots. And I was like, we're doing the dots then, okay. And when I tell you she rushed these dots, she took one of those dotting tools and she just went, which you'll see. She went super quick, no quality control, no care for what it looks like, even though she was the one complaining that it might look bad and that'll look bad on her name, but okay. The dots were different sizes, they weren't spaced out evenly, the lines of dots didn't line up at all, even though she's the one that decided to have straight lines and grids of dots. It could have been more random than that and then it wouldn't have been a problem, but okay. It just looked messy. But she dotted them all on, finally finished that, cured those, and then we could finally move on to just slapping on a top coat, curing it last time, and calling it a day. It was a very sloppy, messy job. It took her less than 10 minutes, and at that point I was just so done. I was so tired. I was so sore. I just wanted this to be done with. But when all of that was finally done, she was nice enough to get like a little bowl of warm water and soap, and I was like, oh yay, nice touches at the end, this will be fine. But the bowl didn't quite fit my nails all that comfortably. They were kind of hitting the sides and everything, and surprise, surprise, when I put my hands in, it stung so bad, because when she'd gone in with that rough nail file and just went to town on my nail beds, and also on top of the acrylic, she wrecked my proximal nail folds, which is the piece of skin here at the bottom of your nail, just behind your cuticle, right? Your cuticle is the dead piece of skin that grows on your nails, and then behind that, proximal nail fold. They were shredded. They were sore. I had literal scabs. I'm surprised I wasn't bleeding, but I had like a bunch of red spots during the session, and then it just burned when she put it in the soap water, and I was like, you know, compared to the other pain of today, this is not that bad. She then kind of patted me dry with paper towels, which was an interesting experience, and then just yanked my nails to go take pictures, which I understand. People take pictures of their nails. Nail techs want to take pictures of their art. I understand, I get it. But she like pulled me by my hands. She didn't like ask me to get up. She was just like, come, and then just yanked me however she wanted me. And it wasn't just placing my hands so she could take the pictures. It was, there you go. And I was like, okay, fine, like, sorry, you can have the hands. She was very rough, and she was very annoyed that I didn't know what to do with my hands yet. Like I said, they're new, it's something you have to get used to, and they were sore. So I was kind of slow and careful moving them, and she was like, can you just do this already? And I was like, great, just please get done. So these are the pictures I got of my nails. She also posted them on Instagram and tagged me. And if you can tell, these two nails crossed over each other. She didn't put them on straight so that they kind of lie next to each other. They went like that. Are my fingers skew? Are my nails skew? Whatever, however. I didn't like that because these nails were so long they kept like clanging on each other. But when all of that was finally done, we went to pay. I admittedly did not tip because it was already way over budget. And number two, I was in pain. That was a horrible, horrible experience. And I think she knew it because she just kind of rolled her eyes and didn't say anything about it. So thank heavens we were able to walk out of there. And just as I was about to tell Aiden that was horrible, she came back around the corner. She's like, hey, what's your Instagram? So she can tag me. And I was just like, did she hear that? Do I care? She should know it sucked. Gave her Instagram, and like I said, tagged me, posted me, all that jazz. I initially didn't want myself tagged in that picture. I wanted to remove the tag because I didn't support the business or the person because I had such a terrible experience. But I think it's better that people know the place so that they don't have to go through the same thing I did, and so that the business gets the feedback they need to improve, because they need to license all of their nail technicians and they need to actually care about when the customer is in pain. So the treat Greenstone Nail and Beauty, please improve your services. I hope my negative review stays up on your Google until you actually fix things, because I think my experience was truly unacceptable for someone paying that much for a service. And anyone who wants to say beauty is pain is lying. But I definitely got an experience out of this. The whole experience of having the nails put on. I think the steps would be roughly the same if I went to someone else who just did it a lot more gently. I then also had a bunch of fun walking around with my nails, but unfortunately, because everything was just so sore and they weren't applied well, like the edges on my nails weren't done well at all, so they started lifting pretty early and everything. I was just so uncomfortable. I ended up taking them off after a week, which was quite upsetting because I was planning on having them grow out to some extent. I wanted to keep them long for as long as possible, and then at some point keeping the acrylic but just cutting them a more manageable length, kind of getting my money's worth out of having these acrylics put on. But instead, after a week, I couldn't take it anymore. It was so uncomfortable, I had to take them off. I was a little bit too scared to go to a salon to get the nails soaked off, number one, because I was a little bit scarred from my last salon experience, and number two, I didn't want to explain to them how I got in the situation. So I just cut them off at home and then soaked everything off with acetone myself. It took a while, but it worked. Also had to get like a harsh file to kind of scrub them down because those puppies were thick. She really layered the acrylic on. And now I just have the free edges of all 10 of them in a little jar that I can give to someone as a souvenir, I guess. But then that is my whole spiel on me getting my XXL acrylics done. If you want to see me do my makeup with these nails on, I will link the video for you. And if you want to see me try different things with these nails, that should be coming next week. I'll link that for you as well. And then if you've ever gotten these type of nails or thought about getting them, let me know down below. Tell me what your experience was. Tell me what it's supposed to be like when you get your nails done. And tell me why you want them long. My reason for having them long is I wanted the experience. I saw people doing it and I was like, I want to know what that's like, and I wanted to show you guys what it's like too. But then that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye. So it took her about 15 minutes to put on the bless you.